Y'all ready to be history?
Get started.
Welcome.
Hi.
Hello, everyone.
To the Pro Audio Suite, thanks to RØDE microphones.
These guys are professional. They're motivated.
Introducing Robert Marshall from Source Elements and Someone Audio Post, Chicago. Darren Robbo Robertson from Voodoo Radio Imaging, Sydney. Tech to the VO stars, George the Tech Whittam from LA. And me, Andrew Peters, voiceover talent and home studio guy.
Line up, ladies!
Here we go.
Welcome to another Pro Audio Suite. Today we're talking all things Riven. But before we get to that, can anybody tell me what microphone I'm on?
Well, I've got to exclude myself from this.
Yeah, you have to exclude yourself. Yes, indeed.
As usual.
So it's the NTG3.
What makes you say that, Robert?
It's dark.
Does it sound overly dark to you at the moment, though?
I wouldn't say it's overly
It sounds
dark.
darker than what
but
I
it sounds
usually hear
flat.
from you. Flat. Okay,
Yeah.
flat. Sure.
Yeah.
Did I get it right?
You did. Spot on. It's funny because I dug it out because I had one of these ages ago and now I've got another one which basically I use for Somerset for when she does her stuff because it works nicely on a female voice. But then we were playing around the other day, Robbo and I ran it through the SSL2 with the 4K button in and it seems to work really well. I like it.
By the way, I just went from the NTG5 to the NTG4. That's how much less gain.
Wow. What a difference.
Yeah, and the four is a little bit more distant sounding.
Yeah,
I mean, that's because of
much.
the gain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's about 10 dB less output than the 5. So I just switched. But I did it because to show you how flat the NTG4 actually does sound.
Yeah.
It's a flat mic until you hit the boost button.
I was very happy with the NTG4 as far as like for a budget and flexible mic. I mean, it's not like it doesn't have that flattery that the NTG5 has. The NTG5 definitely has a bottom end that's great.
Yeah.
But
no, I think it's a good mic for the value. And it's still pretty quiet. It's pretty clean.
It's flex. Yeah, and I really love its flexibility.
But it's interesting with the NTG3, because I didn't like it on my voice at all until we played around the other day and I stuck it through the SSL2 and I thought, okay, now it sounds kind of good to me. So anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about ribbons because the other thing that landed in my lap to test was the Shure KSM353, which is their ribbon, one of their ribbon mics. An expensive microphone.
Yes. I was quite shocked when I looked it up.
You're selling it, right? You're like, I don't know what happened. I
It was lost in shipment. I got a rock in the mail. What the hell is this?
Highest bidder.
Yeah, that's right. Just got a lead nugget inside the microphone box. But that was an interesting one. We've all heard the sample, which I think we can probably have a link to or something. Robbo, can we do that?
We'll play it now.
1, 2, 3. So far, it doesn't sound like I thought it would sound. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know whether I'm talking to the front or the back, so I might just turn it. This is the other side of the Shure. Yeah, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They sound the same front and back, which you would expect.
Yeah, what do you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Front and back.
But
and
it's
nothing through the side.
But it's actually not as dark as I thought it was going to be.
But it does have
hi-fi.
a pretty big low end. It does have a fatness and a bigness to it. I mean, but the top end didn't go away like happens with a lot of ribbons.
It's funny, you're right, because that's what I expected. When I first saw the file, my ears were waiting for that missing top end piece of the puzzle. Yeah. But it didn't get that, which was interesting.
Do you have to have the preamp cranked up? How did it, what was it acting like compared to other mics as far as the gain necessary?
It wasn't too bad, actually. I ran it through the Grace M101, and of course I had to push the ribbon button, and I did have to crank it up quite a bit. Mm-hmm. But it was acceptable. You wouldn't want to have a noisy pre, I wouldn't have thought, because you'd be dragging all sorts of noise up.
Well,
but,
it does say it has a double shielded matched full-size transformer. And so that's going to help dramatically with the output.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's going to give you better output for sure.
Well, I'd hate to use it if it didn't have that then, because I don't think I'd have any preamps that could drive it.
Mm-hmm.
How did you find it was acting as far as like plosives? Was it super sensitive or
It was actually, no, it was good. And it's got one of the, look, I don't know the technical stuff, but they've made some kind of super tough ribbon that goes inside that mic.
Roswellite.
Oh, that's
Roswellite.
right. So you can put it on a bass drum, like the first bass drum ribbon microphone. No.
Yeah. You can
Roswellite.
basically drop the mic and it's going to be fine-ish, I guess. Like, any other mic.
Yeah, you're going to do that and then send it back to Shure.
Yeah, and then you say, you told me I could drop it. I saw the video.
Wait, isn't this the mic that you can use as a hammer? Remember that mic? No, that wasn't this mic.
That wasn't the one. No.
That's the EV635A reporter mic you can use as a
yes.
hammer. But yeah, I thought it sounded nice. I mean, sort of in the vacuum of not comparing it against others, it's so hard to justify the expense of a mic like this to just record voiceover. And I should say just record voiceover. I mean, there's just so many good sounding microphones these days that are going to be a little more manageable and certainly a little less expensive.
But there are some standout ribbons that sort of, and I would say this is one of them, that even though it's a ribbon, it has that natural sound and that and just sort of the thing that ribbons bring, which I think to me a lot of what ribbons bring is a very natural kind of soundstage.
Yeah.
But the AEA, was it the 848 or it's like their take
West
on
Dooley's mics.
Exactly. And that one's another one that just, it's a ribbon, but it'll sit there with other studio mics and you don't have to EQ it up or kind of compensate for anything.
So how does figure 8 work out in your studio?
Well, I use figure 8 all the time, as you know. Like I use it on the Austrian Audio OC818 and also the C414EB. Yeah,
right. You just do that to get the huge proximity out of it, right?
I just use it because I think it just sounds a bit better. That's all.
It's the proximity.
A bit more depth.
It's the figure 8 has the most proximity effect of all the polar patterns.
Yeah, and thereby it has a longer, what I call reach. So you can get back a bit further. Like just today, I was having a client test out her U87 in figure 8 for the first time. I was like, "You ever tried that?" No, I never have. And I just showed her. I was like, "You can work this mic now through 2 to 3, maybe even 5 inches further away, and it's going to give you a very similar low end response, but it was darker." So it was a different sound.
Right. And also they have such, especially a ribbon. I mean, sometimes the large diaphragms in figure 8, because it's technically 2 diaphragms, they don't have as good side rejection, but the ribbons have insane side rejection. It's just gone because
100%. Yeah.
And so if you, in the right situation, if you have the glass in your booth to your side or something, and you might find that actually you get better rejection of the reflections from that hard surface using a figure 8.
Does that mean you have to be more precise when you get on it though? Like if you're slightly off, does it make you sound a lot more off?
Well, it's like a shotgun in that sense. If you think of polar patterns as a continuous thing. It's not like cardioid or figure 8 or hypercardioid. It's a continuous sort of. That's not quite the case with a hypercardioid, but generally, you go from an omni and then they add the second capsule in, and then it does the cardioid thing, wide cardioid. It becomes I forget the exact order, and then it becomes a figure 8, and then it goes the other direction where everything goes to the other side of the capsule, technically.
But what the difference is really the difference between like a shotgun mic and a ribbon mic is the off-axis frequency response.
Yeah, the shotgun has
overall polar pattern is maybe have a similar thing, but your off-axis frequency response of a ribbon mic is going to be way smoother.
Exactly.
Like you can, while the sweet spot is smaller because it's a figure 8, it doesn't you don't lose the integrity of the signal.
Right, you don't get all that phasiness, right? And that's the thing about ribbons that I have to say is like my biggest takeaway from ribbons is that actually 2 things. They sound really, really, really natural. Like almost the way omnis sound natural, but ribbons sound very natural. And also, even though ribbons are dark, they typically take to EQ really well.
Right.
You can boost stuff up and they don't get all like sharp or like just weird things happen. They just kind of nicely rise, and they are much, I think they're much more of a pure microphone in a sense. They're so simple in their design.
Well, looking at the frequency response of that mic, it's not ruler flat, right? It's a little bumpy, but everything is subtle. So there's a little bump at 100, and then there's like this little wobble at like 500. It goes up and down, and then there's like a couple dB rise at like, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 4K. Then it has a dip at like 8K. So it's almost the opposite of a 416 or 41.6, where that has much more of a rise. So this is a nice dip. And then it peaks up at 10K again, and then it rolls off like it's sloping from there. So this is going to be beautiful on someone that's got a bit of a harshness to their voice, maybe a little bit edgy or sibilant.
Bessie, yeah, definitely.
This is going to sound amazing on, say, women's voices sometimes. Could sound awesome on this. I mean, I think. Well,
because a lot of deep, like even deep voices have a lot of sibilants. So.
Yeah, sure. It's just the sibilant frequencies fall in different places, right? So sometimes you can get a bit of a harsh esh, like an eshy sound, like the 4K. And this mic is going to help that a lot because it starts rolling off around from like 4 to 8K. So.
But it's all pretty smooth. It doesn't have like sharp turns, so it doesn't have that like phasey, like hard, like It's all Yeah. It's funny. There's a few things in voiceover world that for me are still some sort of like a unknown, uncharted territory, and that is extensive experimenting with Riven mics in small studios, and then also for me, experimenting with diffusion, acoustical diffusion in small studios, and figuring out how to make that work optimally. But I definitely want to spend some more time on them. And there are some really affordable Rivens. I mean, RØDE themselves has one that's nicely an active one. So it's going to be a lot easier to I'll say
power.
I really, really like my my Cascade Fatheads. They are less than $200, and they work really well, especially on guitar and certain things. They're just wonderful mics. In a way, it's funny. It's like a Riven mic is so simple in its design that I'm surprised there aren't actually more of them.
I think they just have a bad reputation for being very hard to draw, very delicate and very hard to get a good level out of.
Yeah.
And cloud microphones, that's when they invented the cloud lifter.
Yeah.
They first made an active mic, and then the guy, Roger, was like, why don't I just take the cloud lifter? Why don't I take the thing out of the mic and make that a thing?
Right.
Which he did, which was freaking genius. Can you imagine how many cloud lifters?
Geez. Yeah.
He has sold. I mean, that company is built on a cloud lifter at this point. I mean, he's probably sold a couple thousand mics and probably 10,000 cloud lifters.
Yeah. Yes, probably.
Yeah. And really, like you're saying, like, experimenting with ribbon mics and voiceovers, but it's really kind of a retro thing. I mean, for the longest time, ribbon mics were the mics, and it's not really until the 50s and 60s that condensers are the main microphones, and even at that time, for a while, ribbons were used quite a bit for voiceovers and announcers, and then they kind of go away for a while, and then they come back with a vengeance with Royer.
Yeah, there's trends in things. And Royer's mics are pretty hi-fi, I guess you'd call it, right?
They are, yeah. They're great.
They're
mics.
not, well, certainly not thin, and they're also not dark.
No.
My Octava, since we were talking about Octava before,
dark, isn't it?
Show is really dark.
Well, most of the budget ribbons are dark. Like that's one of the first telltale signs of a less. But affordable. That doesn't. I don't really fault them that much, because they take to EQ so well that even though they're dark, you can just kind of give a nice high shelf to them, and they come back and they still sound great.
Bright, but it's not like the frequency disappears into an abyss above 10K. It's still there. It's just down in a hole. You just bring it up, right?
Little EQ, and it still sounds glassy, and
The last time I used that mic was a long time ago, but I was recording a friend's wife or girlfriend who was a theater singer. And so she just had that punch you in the face 1 to 3K, in her voice. And that was beautiful on her voice. Just smoothed it out so well.
So if you had as audio engineers, if you got a file lobbed on your inbox, either a U87 or, say, the Shure Ksm353, which would you prefer?
Well, we need to have the ultimate U87 KSM353.
The U87 is going to be a more flexible microphone, but
it's more versatile.
Yeah, but
if you're just going to have a mic in a booth for recording one thing, and that's a voiceover, you don't need a versatile mic, right? You just need a good mic.
Yeah,
or a great mic.
I think the figure eight nature of the ribbon makes it much harder to place, and you have to really think about where it is and what's around it much more than a cardioid mic.
Do you though?
Here's
my theory. Okay. I'm always thinking in the context of a voiceover actor's home studio, right?
So you're not thinking. No.
He's thinking lowest common denominator.
Keep this in mind. Like, I'm not setting it up in a room that's got 12-foot ceilings and, 20 by 30 feet, or a room where there's open mics for other instruments, anything else. Like, yes, no argument whatsoever. Like, using this mic with instruments and things takes extra care. It's a different technique. But so many cases where small booths have a really low ceiling, and you're always dealing with resonance at the ceiling, boominess and mud. It's like really bad. And so figure eight is awesome because it just kills that off. It's gone. It just doesn't, you don't have to deal with it. And
because it's coming straight into the side, the ceiling is coming straight down.
Right.
Yeah, I guess so.
You just hang the mic vertically. You can have it upside down, right side up, whatever floats your boat. And you're off to the races. It just, as long as the back of the mic is facing a bass trap, or just a dead corner, you're good to go. Mm-hmm. And most people have so many other reflective things in their booths, like the copy stand and the computer monitor and the glass door on their booth. And there's so many things to reflect off of, but you can just aim the mic to avoid most of those. Whereas a cardioid, I hear that reflection too. Yep, I hear that one over there.
Well, the cardioid spreads out to the side, Right. And what's funny is RCA made the gas pedal mic. I forget the exact model, but that was a ribbon mic that was trying to be directional. And I think also Western made the bird cage mic, and that was also, I believe, had some pseudo directionality to it. They were trying to. The later ribbon mics, post whatever 1950 or so.
If my buddy Dan Leonard is listening to this right now, he's going, I know what it is because I have one. He loves ribbon mics. He's got a collection of them, and he loves the history of them. But he's got all kinds. But the gas pedal one, is that the one that looks like a metal flat?
It looks like a metal thing with it looks totally Art Deco. It's actually a very pretty looking mic.
Very Deco looking. Yeah. And then I have a ribbon mic that is definitely not in the vein of anything else that we've talked about whatsoever. And that's the Coles ribbon mic, the lip mic. So this is the Coles lip mic. And it's decidedly not very hi-fi.
No.
It's it's thin. And what's funny is it's not as dark sounding. I mean, it's dark, but it doesn't have the bass of a ribbon. It's very peaked out in the voice frequencies.
Because we're listening to it, because this is an audio format. If you want to see what this mic looks like in action, and you happen to have Apple TV, check out the show Ted Lasso, because every time they show the announcers at the soccer games, the football games, sorry about that.
Yep.
This is the mic they're using, so it's kind of fun to see them being used on a modern television show. But this is so it's really odd because I'm literally resting the mic physically against my upper lip now.
Designed to do that, right? That's why it's
exactly.
Called
And so the announcer just puts it on their lip, and they don't have to worry about holding it in the right place. It just rests on the lip, and its whole point of this thing is
it's not very sanitary, is it?
Yeah, really. The whole idea is that it's supposed to have massive back rejection, so it's not like a normal figure eight.
Is that why a lot of commentators in the 70s and 80s have moustaches? To just stop the rubbing on the top lip.
You know who actually sounds great on one of those, AP? Is Rabs.
Murray Walker.
Ray Warren, the legendary Australian football commentator, like legendary. Everybody knows Rabs. He sounds amazing on one of those things. It's crazy.
But the reason I have it, and this is the reason I have it.
This is interesting, I'm sure. Here we go.
10, 11 years ago, I was hired by a producer from CBS to make the ultimate portable voiceover kit. And we were trying to find the things we could shove in a small Pelican case, including the computer, that would make it the ultimate portable voiceover recording kit, including the ability to do Source Connect. And so I built that. And the microphone that I chose, or at least thought I was going to try to use, was this one. Because we thought, what's a mic that you could use in a crap room? And it would be this one. That was the theory. And it even had a cloud lifter in it. And it had actually, it didn't originally have a cloud lifter. We had a Sound Devices MM1, which is like a portable mic preamp that they make. It's really nice. It's got tons of gain. It's got a headphone amp in it as well, so you can really get a good level. And that's what was in the kit. And then the other thing that was in the kit, which I still have, and I showed my girlfriend the other day, was kind of like an archaeological. It was really kind of funny to pull this computer. It was this really small Windows laptop, like smaller than you can imagine. Like
a Dell 10?
It's much smaller than that.
Oh, wow.
It's hilariously small with a touchscreen. And it's a full-blown Windows computer. It's running XP. I booted it up and I was like, oh my God, it's XP. The computer still runs. But anyway, that's why I have it. We were trying to find what could we carry around in a kit that an actor could use in any situation and get usable audio. But, we found out that it was decidedly not very good. Like the fidelity just didn't come close to matching the gold standard announce mic, which would be the 41.6. This mic didn't sound anything like it, So it was an experiment that failed, and I still have the mic. That's another story I won't get into right now. Why? But I do.
So switch to the mic. And by the way, what do you have? Like a switcher, like an XLR switcher? You switched over to it so quick.
Oh, I have this cool mixer. This sponsor that we have called RØDE sent me this thing called a RØDE Caster Pro.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was able to do that on the fly.
So switch to it and give us our. I don't know, like some sort of sports now, like, no, coming on the road.
And they're coming around the corner. They're pedals to the metal. Look at that guy go. He's going to catch the inside line. Oh, my God. He's been cut off. Oh, his wheels come off. He's flying into the audience. Oh, my God. It's a fiery crash. Oh, my God. The humanity.
It does have the sound.
It does.
That was the Le Mans Mercedes crash.
Yes.
Do that again, George, and I'll give the background effects. Okay, you go. Give it again.
Now they're coming through. They're really moving now. Holy cow, it's tire to tire, bare tire to bare tire. And oh no, they've made contact. There goes the front wheel. It's coming off. Oh my God, the humanity. The audience is on fire. The humanity.
That was ridiculous.
Just brought out
real to me.
Just brought out the sound designer in me. That's all.
God.
Sorry.
That was hilarious.
It was just that sound. That's the sound, isn't it? It's just that's the sound.
That is the sound. Yeah. It really is.
So my understanding of the history of the mic is it was really intended to block out as much background noise as possible, so the announcers could be heard over Formula One cars, which are ear-bleedingly loud.
Yeah, exactly.
Really freaking loud.
And what's so funny is like that's the Coles, it doesn't sound great, has a very specific purpose. And then you've got the Coles 4038s that are just like
polar opposite.
Coveted Riven mics for overheads.
Yeah,
I'm surprised those haven't taken off in voiceover. I wonder if someone's got another $3,000 to throw at a Riven. How much is a 4038?
Are they that expensive?
They're like $2,000.
Sure.
I think they're like at least.
They're really good for playing table tennis. I know that much.
Oh, jeez.
They are funny looking mics.
Yeah.
A lot of
they
Coles
look like a
mics
shovel.
are very odd looking. Yeah. It's the 4038, and it is $1,600 MSRP. Not crazy.
Not that too crazy, yeah. No. I mean, but those are like they were in my studio for a while. Someone had them, and they really do work well for.
The EQ is not all that different from the KSM either. The mic that
really? That Andrew has.
Yeah, they're very similar.
And the price point's very similar.
Yeah.
What's the gain difference?
Oh, price points. It's $1,000 less than the Shure.
Uh-oh.
It's a lot cheaper.
Sorry, Shure.
Yeah. No, when there's a cool thing on recordinghacks.com where you can look at two different microphones' frequency responses layered over top of each other. It's really cool.
Yeah.
So if you want to research these mics, just go to recordinghacks.com, click on the microphone database and look at them, and you can literally look at them layered on top. And they are within a few dB all the way up and down the spectrum. Like they're very, very close. So fascinating.
So here's an idea that no one's done. All you mic manufacturers out there. I have a I forgot the name. I think it's an Audix, but it's a really nice kick drum mic. It's a condenser.
Oh, yeah, D4 or D2 or something like that?
I think it's the 5. I have to get the exact model.
But it's D4. That was great, yeah.
Well, the one I have is a condenser and a dynamic in one.
Oh, yeah. Are you sure that's not an Audio Technica?
It's not an Audio Technica. It's a, sorry, it's a Lewitt.
Yes.
It's a Lewitt.
Yep.
And it's a dynamic and a condenser in one. It's really great for kick. It's like, you get your 2 flavors, you can blend stuff. No one has done a condenser ribbon combo mic.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, not that I'm aware of. No. Somebody get on that.
Yeah.
Certainly Shure could do it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure can.
RØDE, sure.
And RØDE.
Yeah.
Yep.
RØDE could do it. I mean, they've got the intellectual property. They got the parts.
Yeah, and they've got the NTR, which I still want to try. Yeah.
I wonder if they have like a weird, it died on the table, but it worked for a minute. One of those mutant microphones.
It's been done with speakers. You have your Adams, your dynamic and your ribbon tweeter speakers.
Right.
Josephson made I forget what mic it is, but they make a huge mic with a large diaphragm, small diaphragm combo.
Right.
My lab made the rectangular diaphragm microphones that were supposed to be the best of a small diaphragm and large diaphragm in one, where the short dimension of the rectangle was your small diaphragm and the long dimension was the large diaphragm. And then Audio Technica, I believe, currently makes, a pretty high-end ribbon mic that is also, it's like multi-element or something.
Audio Technica makes it's called a 5055 or 5050, it's 5055 or 5051, something like that. And it's a 4-element rectangle. The elements are rectangular.
Right.
4 rectangular element condenser mic. It's
is it a condenser? I thought they also made a multi-element ribbon, but
they may.
But
I know about the condenser. I've seen it and heard it, and it's super hi-fi.
Right.
I mean, it's real.
And there's a whole lot of like multi-element microphones, obviously multi-element speakers. That's your 3-way, 2-way. But I don't think anybody's really combined on a mic. I don't know of any ribbon plus any condenser or dynamic mics.
No, I don't either. That'd be an interesting hybrid for sure.
Get on it.
Yeah, it could be really interesting.
Somebody's going to make one.
Send me my royalties later.
Good luck with that.
Please.
Yes, exactly.
Well, it's interesting that you should mention Adam's Audio in there, Robert, because I have actually been playing with a pair of their A7X speakers for the last 3 or 4 weeks, which I've loved them so much, I've just purchased them. So
did you really?
I did. I love them. Can I just say?
They are not the budget Adams. They have cheaper ones. Those are not the budget ones.
They do. There's the just A7s, and then there's the A5s as well, which are obviously smaller.
And then I think they have like an entry level one too. Yeah. It's like a different price point.
Yeah, there is another one
with like the M Audio. And
Robbo, I've got many more feet of ribbon tweeters than you.
Yeah, do you?
I do have a pair of Magnapanners.
Oh, Magnapans.
Love them.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, gosh, they're great. Yeah.
Well, there's 2 firsts in this for me because this is my first pair of active speakers. I've never owned powered speakers before, and it's obviously also my first foray into ribbon tweeters. And I'm converted, can I just say? There's one interesting thing to start with, though, which I've been meaning to ask the guys at Federal Audio who sent me these on spec to begin with. Maybe you can answer this, George, but I've only owned probably 3 or 4 pairs of brand new speakers in my life, but they suggested that I actually break these in. So I actually had to put them in my garage and took the headphone output of an old AM/FM radio and just had to leave audio running through them for 3 or 4 days to, in his words, break in the tweeters. Have you heard anything about that before? Have you ever had to do that before?
You could have had Howard Stern do it.
Exactly.
Well, I find this fascinating on 2 levels. One, that they don't burn them in at the factory.
Yeah.
I find that odd.
Well, that was the conversation AP and I had.
Expensive speaker should be burned into the factory and fully baked. But I have heard of breaking in things over time, but I've never heard of breaking in a ribbon tweeter. Like I had no idea. I've broken in headphones. I've broken in earphones and in-ear monitors. But I've never broken in a tweeter. So that's It's really interesting. But I mean, these guys, this is their thing.
Absolutely.
I would imagine if they're telling you to do it, it's for a reason.
Well, their thing is pretty bloody incredible. I straight out of the box, the difference between, and I should say that my previous set of speakers was a set of Untitled Audio BM6s that obviously ran through.
Those and Dyne Audios are great too.
Which they are great, but the top end is obviously, for obvious reasons, is so much different in this, and for me, so much more natural.
I think Riven elements sound natural. It's the same thing as the microphones. They have absolutely.
Yeah. And the other overall thing I've noticed is against the Dyne Audios is, how would I put it? If you thought about a photo, for example, well, Photoshop, for me, everything feels more in focus on these than it used to before, like in terms of depth.
Yeah.
How far back things are or how far forward they are. I get a much better sense of that with these than I used to with the Dyne Audios.
Imaging? Is that what they call it?
The imaging. Yeah, probably. The imaging. The only thing I'm struggling with, and I guess because I haven't tuned these into my room yet because I wasn't sure whether I was keeping them. I haven't got round the back and had to play at the back. But I think it's also probably because it's got the front-firing bass ports. I am struggling a bit with the bottom end. I noticed at first I was pulling out way too much, and now I'm leaving a bit more than I need to. But once I kind of dial them in, I guess that will be probably a little better.
Have you ever noticed the actual sound of the ports? Like when there's a big drop, bass drop?
You can feel it.
You can feel it, but you don't get
dries your hair, right?
No.
You don't get like
it dries your hair. No,
Okay.
it's not like do you mean like being overdriven or something like that?
Well, yeah, I mean, I've heard some ported speakers where you can actually hear the air woofing out of the hole.
You can, yeah. I mean, like sometimes you have to be careful of what you put in front of them because you can hear them. You know, like if there is something there, the air deflects off them and makes a little sound or something.
But I'll tell you what they claim literally on their spec is linear frequency response from 42 hertz to 50 kilohertz.
Oh, wow.
I mean, that's a pretty bold claim. First of all, just to claim linear. That's the claim that it's flat
50
from
kilohertz.
42 to 50K.
That's like the tannoy with like the super tweeter.
Yeah. So 50K means, you could use this at night to basically repel insects. Just play like some ultrasonic soundtrack, 192 kilohertz sample rate.
There'd be bats crashing into windows everywhere. Yeah.
Exactly. But that's pretty remarkable. I mean, most adults can't hear above about 15K or less. So that's pretty amazing. But, you have massive extension at the top end. That's got to count for a lot too.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've never looked at the specs on these. I don't know how high they go. If anyone
if you don't have the speakers, what are we going to do, man? All we can do is look at the specs. You get to actually
do that's right. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's all we get,
One thing about like ribbon tweeters, and I have to say that I really do like the imaging on my Magnepanners and whatnot. And I think part of it is, like they're sitting and they rely on the surround to disperse the sound because the nature, a little bit of a ribbon is to be very much like a dipole.
Right.
And so they just like the polar pattern of the mic, the speaker can have a similar pattern of dispersion. So I would think that they would have a more separated stereo image, and therefore more defined, possibly. Or I'm not sure. I mean, what's your impression of that?
I think you're probably right. Absolutely. But that's the thing overall with these, that the mid range is remarkably there, which sort of I missed on the BM6s a little. Like I guess what I'm trying to say is everything seems to be there across the whole spectrum in that sort of there naturally sounding in your face sort of thing. I hope I'm describing this properly.
Well, what's fascinating about Riven, well, in the terms of the Magnepans, it's funny, I just listened to some audio nerd guy, audiophile guy. There's a guy on YouTube called the Audiophiliac. He's a real geeky dude, but he knows more about speakers than anybody I know. And he compares them all, and he loves the Magnepans, but they have to be a good 2 feet away from the walls.
They have to be, because they bounce right off the back of the wall.
Right. And they also make on-wall versions.
Oh, they do?
I'm looking at their site. So they have some designed for like theater use, or you just attach them to the wall. So, but that tweeter is it's an on-wall tweeter. It's mounted to a box. So
yeah, it's like 4 feet long. But one thing, like the Magnepanners definitely like to have a subwoofer because the whole thing's a planar speaker. So they don't really have a lot of ability to move air and hit you in the chest. You need the subwoofer for that. Yeah. But the great thing about the Magnepanners is you close your eyes, and because it's like this wall of sound, the speaker goes away. It just sounds like it's coming at you from everywhere. I mean, it still has a stereo image, but unlike a small bookshelf speaker where you close your eyes and you can point at the speaker and you lose that illusion, like the Magnepanners, just the sound's coming right at you from everywhere, up and down.
Yeah. It's pretty remarkable. And they don't weigh a lot, right? So you can kind of put them away if you have to, you live with anybody. You can kind of...
Yeah, they're definitely not like... I'll politically correct, like partner friendly.
They're not partner friendly yet.
But
I mean, some of them look like room dividers. Like they look
do.
like
yeah. I mean, they are less ugly than other speakers, but they just take up a lot of space.
They're quite sizable,
yeah. Mm-hmm. And they have these big feet, so that you can't like sometimes move them around very easily. Not big feet, but the feet come out, like a good 1.5 feet on either side of them.
So they don't tip over.
Yeah.
So what happens to the Dyne Audios now?
Well, they've actually been sold.
He's shipping them to me.
They've gone. They've gone to a new home. So they didn't take long to sell.
And it was perfect because Robbo moved after delivery, so the guy can't find him.
That's right. But you did raise an interesting point, though, Robert, about being close to the wall, because that's part of the reason I liked these, because they did have those front-facing base ports, because I only have a small room, so my desk is up against the wall. And that's one of the reasons I like these. It wasn't firing, a whole bunch of bottom end.
And they're tunable.
Straight out the back.
And they're little,
tunable. That's right.
EQ tunes, so you can roll off as low as as much as 6 dB at the low end.
I think it's 300 down.
And very different from the Magnepanners. They are a closed back speaker.
Yes.
And so they don't have the same issue. It's like that tweeter's backed, and it has, I believe it has like a little, not a horn, but a plastic kind of...
They call it a waveguide, I guess.
Like surround around the tweeter to kind of try to get it to disperse out.
Yeah.
Maybe so it's not so directional.
Mm-hmm.
Have you played with stereo mixing much? Like apparently these are supposed to have like a incredibly wide sweet spot.
Well, radio.
Is that true?
Radio imaging. It's all about the stereo soundstage. So I have done a lot of that, and that's one thing that is also very true. Is that the stereo sweet spot is very wide, indeed.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I love it.
Very cool.
So I should say thank you to the guys at Federal Audio here in Australia, because they were. I'd been hassling them for 6 months because of COVID. They were having trouble getting some in the country, and me being Mr. Impatient, every 3 months I was going, "Hey, got any in yet?" Hey. So they were very patient with me, and they also did me a very sweet deal at the end of the day. So thank you to the guys at Federal Audio, Chris in particular.
Nice,
very cool. Well, their entry level model is, I think, the T series. I believe that's...
Is that what it is? Yeah, okay. Yep. Mm-hmm. Well, let's compare, because these come in off the shelf here in Australia. These about 2,700 for a pair.
For a pair, yeah.
Yep. So what are they? If you're looking
not cheap.
stateside,
I mean, they're up there with 27 Australian. So that makes them what, like
about $1,800,
$3 US?
About 1,800, 1,900 probably. Yeah.
Not for much longer, Robert. Not for much longer.
Are we crashing down here?
Yeah. Well, good on you. So we've run the gamut of Riven.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think it's pretty cool. I want to hear more about Riven, and possibly start even speccing some Riven mics and some for some of my clients.
What color? Out of interest, Robbo, what color are the ribbons in there? Are they yellow? They're yellow, aren't they? Yellow color?
Yeah, yellow,
color?
goldy. Yeah. Goldy color.
Does it come with an old oak tree?
Maybe they should do oak-coloured cabinets. There you go. That'd
Correct.
Be interesting.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Are you dating yourself with that song?
Exactly.
I know what you're talking about, so that would have to include me in that.
The interesting thing is what you were just saying, though, about ribbons, George, is everything old is new again. I mean, go back 10 10, 15 years ago, and people would have gone, Riven poo-poo, and look at it now.
Like I was saying with the Royer, I think Royer almost single-handedly kind of brought back the Riven mics. And actually, funny enough, when you really look at the Royer, it's a homage to the Bang & Olufsen microphone.
Oh, it is?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Bang & Olufsen made a little Riven mic that was really cool, actually, because you could buy a second element and plug it right into the top of the other one, and then you had your MS. Or not MS, but your Bloomline.
That's obscure.
Oh, yeah.
I had no idea. Huh. Cool.
Well, there you go, ribbons. Maybe they will work for voiceover. Who knows?
That's
Check
right.
it out.
Sell your 4D16 while it's still worth something.
Don't think they're ever going to go out of fashion, are they?
No, I don't think so.
Well, that was fun. Is it over?
The Pro Audio Suite recorded using Rode NTG5s and Source Connect. Edited by Andrew Peters and mixed by Voodoo Radio Imaging with tech support from George the Tech Whittam. Don't forget to subscribe to the show and join in the conversation on our Facebook group. To leave a comment, suggest a topic, or just say g'day, drop us a note at our website, theproaudiosuite.com.